Okay, so a couple of things pretty fast. My a couple of my friends and people who saw it actually like the nameless channel, so we're just gonna go with that. It's going to be the nameless channel, and I'm going to be nameless, and I'm gonna try not to name too many names while I'm telling all these stories. So that's hopefully that's cool. I guess it's cool enough. I like it. It's a man of mystery. Ooh. And that way, witches can't put spells on me, right? So, um, the second story uh, that I was gonna tell, I'm trying to decide between two, but I think I'm gonna go with this one because the third one is a little harder to believe, um, because it might be more supernatural. So I'm gonna skip that and just go with this one. Now this one is more occult, but it's not more supernatural. So there you have it. Anyway, without further ado, um, it happens, of course, on the beach because that's this particular series is, don't go to the beach. And it's actually not chronological. It happens when I'm about 15, 16. I'm a little bit younger. And one thing you should know is that we were little degenerates and stuff, like well-meaning. And we used to go to the beach and other places just to practice kind of picking up girls, talking to girls and stuff, not in like a creepy way, because I know some of the younger people might be like, oh, you can't just hit on a girl. But back when I was 15, 16, it was socially acceptable. And, you just walked up to a girl, you're like, hey, you're pretty, I'm nameless, you know, I'd like to get to know you. And, she'd either start talking with you or she'd be like, I'm taken or I'm not interested. And then you just took your L and you walked away, So it was like that. So don't like freak out thinking we're a bunch of weird whatevers, because it was common practice and we were gentlemen about it. We were just we were lovable rascals, basically, growing up. And we were very aware of that fact. So, we played into it. Had some fun. Anyway, so we were doing that. And my one friend, he had a car like before everybody. And I don't want to say what kind of car or whatever. You know what I mean? But we were walking on the beach. We were actually we met a bunch of friends there, but we broke off kind of immediately because we're just walking down the beach cruising, and it was very common for like teenagers to just hang at the beach. Like we were spooky beach kids, and most of us were looking for other spooky beach kids to either be friends with or hook up with or whatever. Like, well, we're walking and I see this girl, and man, did I see this girl. Like, she was she had like dark hair, but they were done like pulled back into like two little ponytails, and she was wearing it was like the sleeves were cut off and she had cut like a deep V, into a skinny puppy t-shirt, and she had like like schoolgirl skirt going and stuff. She had like a little spiked choker on, and she had like black socks, like kind of like up to her knee, not like over the knee, but, and like these little Doc Martens and stuff. And as a degenerate, kind of fashion punk kid or whatever, like I'm not gonna lie, I was 16. I was made entirely of hormones, and all of them liked her, right? So I'm like, oh, just as soon, and to like up the game or whatever, she's standing next to, because they're just like standing on the back of a bench, you know, kind of by the street, just hanging out like you do, you know. And her friend, the best I could describe, she was like kind of grunge rock looking, and she had on like a little military shirt. It was like military green, kind of over like this little tube top, and these little like short shorts, you know, and like dirty cons and whatever. She basically looked like if Kurt Cobain did like a sexy no jutsu, you know, from Naruto, and turned into like a hot anime girl grunge rock version of himself. That was her friend, right? So I'm standing, and I got my boy over here because I'm not using names, so he's gonna be my boy for the story, okay? So I kind of just like, you know, and like hit my boy in the chest, and I kind of just nod over there because I had just looked over there, and she caught me looking, but she gave me one of these, like she kind of like, and then she was like, you know, like, and she smirked, you know, when I was looking. So I was like, all right, I have a plan, you know, because there's teenage boys will work together remarkably well if it involves teenage girls. Yeah, it's just one of those facts in nature. So we start walking, and I started talking to my friend, trying to be slick, right? So I'm like, man, I was gonna tell this story, and I had everything laid out, and I was thinking all this stuff, and the whole time I'm talking, she's like listening, like they're listening, and I'm walking up, right? And I'm like, I had it laid out, I was about to say everything, and then I saw the prettiest girl I have ever seen in my entire life, man. And she said, and I kind of pointed at the girl, you know, who just smirked at me. And she like, you know, because that was my style. Like, I always try to just make them laugh and act like an idiot, because I'm a freaking dork, you know, like, use what you got. And she like chuckled, and then she's like, hi. And I was like, and then my heart melted, you know. So like after that, you know, you like drop the act as like, hey, you know, my name's Nameless. I was just wanted you to know. And I remember like very specifically, she's like, did you really think that was gonna work? And I was like, I knew I had to try anything I could think of when I saw you, you know. And then she like started blushing, and we started talking back and forth, and it was nice, you know, like we just had a nice little conversation. And we were getting like, she broke the touch barrier real fast, because like when I said that, you know, she gave me one of those, you know, those girl swipes where they're like, ow, you know. So she like hit me on the shoulder. And you know, my boy is normally not very slick, you know, with girls. Like, he was a really solid guy, and he was like really cool, you know, I love him to death, but he wasn't very gifted vocally. But you know, I look over, they're like two peas in a pod, him and like, what, Christine Cobain or whatever, you know, and they're like da 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 going, and like she's leaning in and he's leaning in, so like they're getting along pretty good. I'm getting along, and about 15 minutes goes by where we're just trading banter, you know, doing whatever. Life is good, super hot chicks, and I mean, I cannot state, like, saying they were kind of hot is like saying the sun is kind of bright. You know, like, every guy who walked past while we were talking to him, like, every single one checked these girls out. You know, they were just ridiculously hot. Like they had no business being that hot. They like stole forbidden hotness from like a temple somewhere. But anyway, So we're talking, we're getting along, everything, and the one girl, now it's hitting about 7:30 ish. You know what I mean? So like the sun's going down a little bit, like it's starting to and stuff, and she's like, well, we were probably gonna go, and we were gonna listen to I believe it was like the new Manson had just come out, and we're talking like old school badass Manson. And believe it or not, for the younger like Gen Z kids, just so you get the score, I don't want to be condescending, but it was a different time. Like, people used to go and like you just go hang out and like listen to music together, and it didn't mean anything. There was no agenda. Like you could go and like you'd meet someone at school and they'd be like, oh yeah, I got the new blah blah blah, and then like you'd be six deep just chilling at somebody's house listening to music. It wasn't like tawdry, and there wasn't anything, so you could innocently do that during this like time frame. So we're like, oh man, I haven't heard that. Like I kind of jump on it and stuff, and they're like, well, if you want to, like, you guys could probably come along, like you seem okay. And to be fair, we were okay, like we were punk rockers and stuff, but we had codes of honor, and like we were good dudes, and if we found out one of us wasn't a good dude, we'd kick the crap out of them. Like, it was very martial law. We enforced that everyone was a good dude. So whatever, like, so I know we're not giving off creepy vibes because we don't have creepy vibes. Essentially, we're just like, we're definitely gonna shoot our shot. Like, if they come in our no-fly zone, they're getting shot down. But it's like, all right, we'll just chill and watch some movies, whatever, listen to the album. So we break off into pairs, and it's Cobain and my boy going to like his car and stuff, and I'm kind of like walking with the other girl. Does she need a nickname? Probably. I don't know. Here, we'll call her Puppies because she had the Skinny Puppies shirt, right? So it's me and Puppies, and we're going to her car, and I still don't get any kind of vibe, nothing. You know what I mean? Because she's super hot. I'm feeling lucky, like that she even gave me the time of day, let alone the fact that we're gonna go hang out and do cool stuff. And like, how like if stuff's going good, you kind of pair off. Like, it felt like that. Like, she picked her dude, and I picked my girl, because it was kind of an unwritten thing. Like, my one friend had a thing for redheads, my one friend had a thing for blondes, and I've been partial to brunettes, just historically. It's not like a hard rule, but I got a weakness for like, dirty blonde and, brown haired girls. It's one of those things. Anyway, so we start going, and they get in his car and they're gone. Like, not gone, but like they're driving away. And I'm going to get into the other car with the girl, And as I'm coming in, her friend shows up out of nowhere, right? And to describe this girl, basically, if you turned Ron Swanson into a little girl, it's about there. Like, I mean, I'm saying little girl, but like 15, 16. But the entire time, she's just angry. Like, and I mean, how like some people are just super intense, like they're just like a powder keg. Like, I mean, the whole time I saw her, she's making this face, just. And she starts going and like pushing past me to get into the back seat, And I'm like, hold up, I'll sit in the back. Because, well, one, I'm a little bit of a gutter kid, and I already kind of had PTSD at this point, so I don't like people sitting behind me. And just, you know, trying to be honorable, if someone's got to take the back, I volunteer for it just because I'm trying to be a good guy and, you know, be respectful, essentially. So I'm like, I'll take the back, you know, you can get shotgun. And this like angry girl, she like barely turns, she's like, no, you know. And I'm like, okay, hold up, because like there's something in, maybe it's from being a little gutter kid or whatever, but like something in the back of my head is just like nah, you know. So I'm like, no, seriously, like, you know, take shotgun, let me be a good guy, and it'll be fine, you know. And she's like, just sit in the fucking back, but she says it like almost like a command, you know. And the whole time the other girl, you know, Puppies, is there, and she's like trying to smooth it over. She's like, oh, why are you so mean to people, blah blah blah, you know, like trying to glad hand it and smooth it over and stuff. And I take that at the time as her just like trying to be like, don't mess this up for me, you know what I mean? Because like she already committed. So, you know, I'm like, all right, whatever, da da da. But like that thing in the back of my head is just like, and I'm like, look, it's important to me, it's part of my code. You're gonna have to let me sit in the back, or I'm not sure I'm going. You know, like I actually play that card. Like I'm ready to just walk away, because there's just an uneasy feeling about letting this girl sit behind me, but I don't want to say that, you know. And the girl's like fine, you know, like literally just fine. And then I sit in the back and they get in. And it's important to note, like, I felt a little bit of a you know, but like both of these girls probably weighed 60 pounds less than me, you know, not to combined, but you know, they're little teenage girls, and I was a teenage boy, but I was big for my age at that point. I had already hit my growth spurt, and I was big Tory, like, you know, I was big time and whatever. So, you know, the first thing that might have been a little off, but like wasn't necessarily, was as soon as she turns the car on, like super loud freaking doom metal starts playing, which, hey, you know, she's dressed like a rocker chick and stuff. I couldn't tell you what band it was, but it was like one of those obscure doom metal where it's like super heavy guitars and stuff. And when I say super heavy, I mean like way too heavy, like, you know. And like you have Cookie Monster singing, except like I definitely heard him say Satan, so it's like Cookie Monster, like, I want cookies for Satan, you know, like, or whatever. And I don't think too much of it, but it was just like a little bit heavier than it should have been, you know. And both of them like just didn't react at all, which is kind of weird, especially when you're dealing with like scene kids back then, because they'd be like, oh, you know this band, you know, think like hipsters, but like metal. And nobody mentioned it, you know. So we're driving, and so what's weird is she said that her friend lived kind of north of where we were going, and then you know, she was taking the wrong turns to get there. And I mentioned, I was like, whoa, that's the wrong turn. And she's like, oh, don't worry, we'll catch it. And then she took another wrong turn, right? And I'm like, you're going the wrong way, like straight up. And the friend is like, shut up, you know, like actually tells me to shut up. And at this point, like my hackles just went, you know. And I'm like, no, we need to turn around, you know, because like they're not gonna find us. And like I don't know if she's being cocky or what, but at this point she's like, well, we're not going there, we're going to beach, and there's a bunch of people there waiting, and we're gonna sacrifice you to Satan. And like the way she said it was like, oh, you're screwed or whatever. Now I'm sitting there, thank God I'm in the back, because I can kind of see through, there's like the two chairs, and I can kind of see through, and I see like this glint of metal go down, like almost like the one girl's trying to pull something out of her pocket that's metal. And at this point, after her saying that and everything, I'm like, I have one of those moments like, I'm gonna have to come off crazy, but like, you gotta trust your instincts, and thank God I did, because I immediately went through and I just, boom, like around the actual car seat, and I have this girl kind of by the neck, like not the driver but the passenger, and I have her, like that, and she's trapped up against the headrest, and I reached through and I have her arm kind of pinned. It's hard to show, but like I had her kind of like that, and I was shoving her hand in her pocket because she was reaching for something. So like whatever was in her pocket, she couldn't pull out, And I think the girl said something, I don't know exactly, but it was basically like, what the hell, And I'm like, no, you're gonna pull over to Mall, which was a little bit up ahead, and I'm like, and you're gonna let me out, or I'm gonna break your friend's neck. Because like I am not playing this game. Yeah, like I was raised to hood. I don't trust people, and I took them at face value. Like I felt like something was off. They said some stuff, and what really made me not regret doing that as much as I really don't like using force against people. Well, back then I was a little bit of a head buster, but I was still pretty peaceful. Like I finished a lot of fights. I didn't start them, But anyway, she keeps trying to make wrong turns to get away from the mall, And after about the third time I call her on it, I'm like, and I feel kind of bad about this a little bit, but I yoked up a little bit, and I was like, keep fucking around, Like, I'm not bluffing anymore. Let me the fuck out of this car, So she like immediately kind of course corrects and turns, and I end up in this empty ass parking lot because by now it's about 8. So like pretty much the mall itself had shut down at well, roughly 8, but there was like 2 cars in this parking lot, and it's dark, getting darker. So I shoot out of this car, and I'm pretty sure this chick has a gun, so I'm like, I just book as hard as I can, and I don't look back, nothing, because I don't want to get shot, because I'm not sure if it was a knife or a gun or whatever. I just knew it was metal, and I didn't want to be around for it, and I'm tearing ass, like just and there's like the parking lot, there's the mall, and then over towards this side there's just a bunch of trees. So I basically run directly into the trees, so that's where they don't see me. And then because I'm extra sneaky, what I do is I run down the line of trees, and I come out the opposite side behind the mall and take off the opposite way that they saw me running. Because I'm like not about to get manhunted by a satanic cult at the beach, because I'm sure they're either going to call somebody or they're going to get people to find me. Like in my head, in my panic state, I'm like sure that's going to happen. So I'm like, escape and evade, misdirect, whatever you got to do. Okay, so down the road from this place, there's like I must have ran a good mile and a half at least, and I stop at this. It's like a racetrack gas station. I don't know if you guys have them. It's just a brand. And I'm like kind of hiding in the back. And this is definitely like pre-teenagers having cell phones kind of. And I'm like, I go up to the payphone, and I know for sure there's no way I'm gonna be able to call my boy, because at this point I'm worried about him, because like I got away okay, but he's in the car with a crazy bitch essentially, that's going to try to lure him to a satanic cult. So I'm like, freaking out. So I don't have his, like, I don't have a way to call him because he's in his car. So I call my other friend. We'll just call him the homie or whatever. And I call the homie, and he's like, okay, bet, like we'll try to work something out, because I told him I'm like, I had to call him collect even because I didn't have a quarter, and he's like, we'll try to work something out. Da da da. We know you're stuck there. Like he was one of our only friends that drove, but he's like, I'll call around. I'll see if I can't get you a ride or something. Just try to stay there. And I'm like, okay, but know that I'm gonna be kind of back in the brush because I don't want to be standing out by the street where they could see me. Because it's like there's not very many people around at all. So I'm like in the back in the trees, like trying to chill, and I'm stuck there for about 45 minutes, just freaking out. Like every time someone pulls up and stuff, I'm like, is that my ride or is that a bunch of cultists? Like just freaking, and it sucks. It sucks so bad, cause like I remember sitting there and I actually see my boy's car after like 45 minutes of this, because I'm worried sick about him too, and he like pulls in, and I run up and I like jump in his car, and he takes off, and we're like safely off, heading back and stuff. And I was like, man, those girls, like, they threatened, they said they were trying to get me to go out to the beach to get sacrificed to Satan. I swear to God. They're like listening to crazy heavy devil music. Like this extra just evil Terminator chick showed up. It was bad, right? And my friend, like my boy, he like turns to me and he's like, dude, I know that chick pulled a knife on me. I freaked out. Like, luckily I popped my car door and I kicked her out with my foot and just kept driving. So it turns out like he was as gangster as me, because like he felt something was off once they got alone, and then she tries to pull a knife on him, I guess, to make him drive there too. And he wasn't having it. Like, he straight up just popped his door and kicked her out, and like ejected her from his car. So like we like narrowly avoided it just because both of us, we grew up like pretty hood adjacent and stuff, so we were kind of like gutter kids. And I'd say that with like big affection, but like like we you gotta grow up kind of quick in those situations, because like people will try to take advantage of you. So you got to keep your head on a swivel. So a lot of us are real jumpy when it comes to like iffy stuff that doesn't match up. But if it was like normal kids, like they would have been on the news. I don't know exactly how bad it would have gotten, but it can't be good if they're actively like tricking people to go there. And hopefully like we were the only, ones, and there was only like one set of girls trying to lure guys or whatever. And, we'll never know who was waiting at the beach, so it really didn't feel like they were messing with me though. Like I got an inherent sense of like, you're gonna die, because she said it like, you're gonna die, and I don't know, that was it. And that's the second story of don't go to the beach, because just don't. Like, I used to joke, you know, like whenever a pretty girl's too nice to me, I start getting real suspicious. And yeah, that's actually one of the main reasons why. Um, well, that and like every Hollywood movie ever, whenever like an okay guy looking, you know, gets like a super hot girl being nice, she's definitely pretty much going to screw you over in the movies. So it's just a built-in instinct, I guess, to second guess them. But I don't know. I hope you like that story. It's a little harrowing, but we got through it. I don't advocate violence against women or anything. I That's like pretty much the only time that I can think of where I actually straight up just grabbed a woman, you know. But I literally thought I was gonna die. Like, I thought she was pulling out a gun. So I think maybe a little leeway. But anyway, yeah, just be careful if you go to the beach. Preferably don't go. And you know, definitely make sure you have your backs covered if you do. You know, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to feel like a sissy or whatever, and I'm gonna take the risk and not have somebody watch my back or whatever with new people. Screw that. Alright? A good person has no problem with you taking extra precautions to stay safe. Alright? If I noticed a couple people saw the other video, so that's cool, and I got a couple likes and I got some comments, so you guys are awesome on that. That made me super happy, like more happy than I really should be. But I don't know why. I like telling stories, and yeah. But aside from that, yeah, like if you guys want to keep it rolling, maybe give me a subscribe or something, or you know, a like, or share it somewhere or something, because I don't know how to get the word out about any of this without being spammy, and I don't want to like annoy people. So anyway, if you like it, you know, like, show me some love. I'll show you some love back. I'm full of love, you know. Anyway, um, until the next time. The third one is a little shorter. I might tell two, just to base it. It's a little more supernatural and creepy. So I wanted to get the two more mundane ones out and stuff, because I was saving that second one with the cultist kind of as the, you know, so it started strong and finished strong. But just this next one's a little harder to believe, and so I wanted to like kind of tell you these two, so it's like, okay, well, you know, he could have added a bunch of stuff to these two to make them, you know, better, and he didn't. So I don't think he's doing that, basically. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this, and have an awesome night or day or wherever, and stay safe. Stay safe. You're important. Especially if you're supporting me, you're extra important. So, alright, see ya.